Hi guys, this is Tony Javier, founder of Real Estate Prodigy and creator of the Total Real Estate Blueprint. And today I'm going to share with you my one-page real estate success blueprint. This is basically a summary of the Total Real Estate Blueprint that's going to show you the main things you need to do to create a successful real estate business. So let me ask you a question. Have you ever thought about doing something and you created a goal and for some reason, no matter what you did, it just didn't happen? Do you create New Year's resolutions? In fact, when you go to the gym the first week, there's all kinds of people at the gym, right? And then, a week goes by and 2 weeks goes by and 3 weeks goes by, and then all of a sudden it's back to where it was before Christmas. And the reason that people fall off like that, and the reason that you probably haven't been able to achieve some of your goals, is because you don't have a blueprint. A lot of people try and strive for things and try and do things, but they don't plan it. There's a saying that says that when you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And without a blueprint or something like this to show you how to do something, it's a lot harder to do it on your own. Have you also asked yourself or said to yourself, man, I would love to get into real estate? In fact, I've had a lot of people say, man, Tony, I would love to do what you do. And they ask me, Tony, how do you buy so many properties with no money down? How do you buy so many properties and flip them so quickly and, all these things? And that's actually why I'm teaching this business, is because, I want people to have the blueprint for success. In fact, when I bought my program, the reason I got into it is I bought an infomercial on TV, and it was a no down payment system, and it showed me how to buy properties with no money down. And if it weren't for that program, I wouldn't have had the knowledge, or at least had the motivation to, start and continue to invest in real estate. But what I've found is over time is a lot of these programs out there, they don't really teach a blueprint. They teach you how to buy properties with no money down, or another one may teach you how to push a button and get leads into your inbox, or another one may say, flip properties very quickly by selling contracts. And there's, the only thing wrong with those programs is it's not really sustainable. They teach you, one part of the business or one thing in this business, and, a lot of people get out of it because they don't have a blueprint. They don't have the 5 pillars I'm going to teach you. They don't have the foundation set up to really sustain. And for those of you who know my story, some years ago, I was doing pretty well. Like I said, I started with an info product, started buying properties, and things were going pretty well. And there hit a time where, I started hiring staff, and they started taking things off my plate, and things seemed to be going really well. And then it happened. I had 4 staff members. 3 of them I had to let go. One of them was stealing money from me. The other 2 were pretty much stealing money from me. And the worst part about it is they were living in my properties. And so for those of you who have, given something to somebody like a family member, and then they take advantage of you, and, they threaten lawsuits against me, that type of thing just really hurts, because you're trying to help people, and they just, they just don't appreciate it. And the people that you help the most are the ones that can hurt you the most. And so, I had to, again, evict them from my properties. I let them go, obviously. I had to rehire. I had to replace them. I had to run the business while I was trying to do all of this. Had to respond to their requests or threats for lawsuits and things of that nature. And man, it really took a toll on me. And the only reason that I survived that is because I had some of these foundations here. In fact, if I would have had all these pillars at the end of the foundation, I probably wouldn't have gone through such a hardship. And most people would have taken down. In fact, it almost took me down. But for those of you who know me, I've got so much drive. In fact, I don't really have to do this business right now. I've got my business automated where I don't need to do this. But I want to share this with you because when I got into this business, I didn't have this, and I went through many struggles. And when I went through, the whole staff reorganization, I didn't have this either. And, I went into a depression, and it was just a really, really, really rough and dark time. And one of the problems was I associated myself with this business and success. And I've realized since then, which is one of the foundations I'm going to share with you, is how to not do that and create a better life with this business rather than this business just soaking you up, right? So again, I want to provide this to you because this wasn't provided to me when I started. And if I would have had this again, just, a few years ago when this whole thing happened, I wouldn't have gotten so down. But, it's kind of like, I guess it's kind of like a bone being broken. You break your bone, it hurts like heck, but you know what? It heals up and you become stronger. And that's what I feel like my business has done. But sometimes you don't have to go through that break in order to have a good business and to have a good life. So without further ado, I'm going to dive into this and show you how you can create a multi-million-dollar real estate business, or even just flip a few houses a year if you want to, with the 5 pillars of a successful real estate investor, which is part of the blueprint. Okay, so let's dive right into this, okay? So let's start with number 1, which is define your strategy. Okay, when you get into this business, you have very many, you have many different strategies that you can buy properties with, right? You can fix and flip, which for me is my preferred method. There's some other methods out there that we do and other people do as well, but that's what we prefer because I've already got the systems in place and the people that, rather than making quick money by selling a contract and getting rid of a property quickly, I would rather put it in my system, do the work, and make a $20,000 to potentially $100,000 paycheck, rather than just like a $5,000 to $10,000 paycheck, which I'll show you here how you do that. Wholesaling is what I was just talking about, and wholesaling is basically finding a property, finding a motivated seller, putting it under contract, and then finding another buyer to buy it from you before you close. Someone like me who's actually going to do the work to fix and flip it, right? So nothing wrong with that. It's quick cash. You can make between $2,000 and $10,000 is a typical wholesale deal. But for me, I like to fix and flip because I can put it in my system. I don't personally do any more work other than improving the property and the budget, and we can make 2 to 10 times as much money on a fix and flip. Okay, you've got rentals. A lot of people, when they think real estate, not only do they think fix and flip, but they also think rentals. I would love to build up a rental portfolio. If that's your method and you've got the means to do that, I think that's great. When I got into this business, I was turned down by so many different banks, and it took me at least 3 years in the business for a bank to finally say, okay, we'll loan to you. Before that, I had to bring on private investors, which I'll talk about here in a little bit, and raise money from outside sources. Well, if you're going to get into the rental business, typically you have to have money down, and you have to have a bank that's going to float that, unless you want to pay high interest rates to short-term lenders, what I call private lenders that I'll get into here in a little bit. This is a great way to create passive income. This is a great way to create net worth. And the way that I choose to do rentals now is I'll actually buy a property and strategize to fix and flip it. And I'll have enough equity in that property to where, so let's say we buy that property for 50 grand, I put 20 grand into it. I've got $70,000 into this house and it's worth 100,000. So we'll use our cash or a private lender to fund that deal. And then we'll go back to a bank and say, Mr. Bank, will you refinance this at a 70 to 75% loan to value, which is the value is 100,000 now. So they'll loan that money, get us all of our money back. We've got $25,000 to $30,000 equity in this house now. Sometimes we can get cash back, and we've got a tenant that's paying our mortgage, and we're getting cash flow on top of the mortgage and expenses on the property. So for me now, I love rentals. We actually do a lot of rent to own, which we won't talk about. Some of you guys know about. But rentals for us is we're building net worth because we're buying the properties right and having equity. We're building cash flow, which is the amount of money over and above and beyond the expenses and things that you pay. And we're paying down our mortgage. I've got properties that I bought 15 years ago that now are getting ready to pay off. I mean, just imagine the 15 to 20 years from now, if you put your properties on shorter term notes, 15 to 20 year notes, those properties are starting to pay off. I mean, those are $50,000 to $150,000 properties that are now going to be paid off. That's pretty powerful, right? So if you want to build some cash flow and you've got the means to do it and the cash to do it, rentals is a good way to go. If you don't have any money, wholesaling could be a good route. Fix and flip, you can still do fix and flip with no money. You know, when I started doing it, I had no money. I raised money from private investors, which I'll talk about here in a little bit, and it creates large sums of money coming in on if you can find properties, flip on a regular basis, right? So now you need to do research in your market. You know, in San Diego, California, where I live now, rentals are tougher. Can you do them? You can, but you really have to buy your properties right and buy them in the right area. In Wichita, Kansas, which is my main market, we can do rentals all day long. They cash flow like crazy. The price points are good, the rents are good. Everything just lines up for us to be able to do rentals. For us, fix and flip isn't as good as San Diego, California, because there's smaller price points and typically smaller profits. Wholesaling may be a tough market in, for Wichita, Kansas, wholesaling is a tough market. That's one of the reasons I don't do a lot of wholesaling, is because it's, the margins aren't great. We can make $2 to $5 grand on a wholesale deal potentially, but I can make 20 grand or more if I fix and flip, or I can just keep the property and have, well over $20,000 worth of, worth of equity in the property and cash flow it on top of that. So you need to do your research in your market to find out who your competitors are, to find out what the best strategies are, to see what everyone else is doing, so that you can see what the best strategy is in your market. A lot of people get this wrong. They start, fixing and flipping when they should probably do rentals, or vice versa. They start, maybe they start wholesaling and they're not making enough money when they could have just fixed and flipped those properties and made 2 to 10 times as much money, doing fix and flip and doing a little bit more work on them. So do your research and find out what the best strategy is for you, okay? Next thing is finding deals. You've got your strategy, you know what you're doing. Now you got to go out, you got to find some deals. In fact, in our, I read the book by Kerry Keller called The One Thing. And what he teaches is you need to focus on one thing. So when you're in something, focus on that one thing. When you are in your business, what is that one thing that if you do and you do it consistently will help your business? Your business will go. And for us, it's finding deals. We know that we have the team, we've got the money, we've got the resources to do deals, so we just got to go find those deals. For us, this is the number one thing that we do in our business, and I would recommend for it to be your number one thing that you do in your business, because it's going to bring you the most rewards. You could have the most money in the world, you could have the best strategy in the world, you could have all these things lined up, but if you're not finding deals, you're not making money, right? So some ways to find deals: direct mail, sending leads out to, or sending mailers out to probate leads, people that are going through the probate process because they're probably going to have a house they inherit and that they're going to want to sell. You can do direct mail to people that don't live in their properties, called absentee owners. You can do mailers out to pre-foreclosures, people that aren't making their payments, that you could potentially come in and help them to keep not keep their property, but keep from foreclosing on their property, and you can get some good deals from that. Direct mail can be letters, they can be postcards, they can be it can even be door hangers. Things that get to them directly to where they can call you and say, yes, I am looking to sell my property as is and for cash, right? Another source of deals, we get a few deals a year off Craigslist. We post deals, or we post We Buy Homes ads in Craigslist. We actually go on Craigslist and type in some keywords and find properties. Just Craigslist is a great source. It's free. Put some ads out there, search in Craigslist. In fact, when we're done here, I encourage you to go through Craigslist, type in some keywords like fixer-upper, TLC, foreclosure, type in some words like that and you'll get some good leads, right? It may not be great in every market. Those deals may be cherry-picked in your market. I don't know. That's doing part of your research. But going to Craigslist, go see what's out there. See what people are selling. See what the price points are. Especially if you're new into the market, just by looking at those ads, you'll be able to see hey, these properties are selling for this in this area, and these are selling for this area. That way, when you come across a deal, you're more familiar with price points, right? For sale by owners, which Craigslist has a lot of for sale by owners, but there's also some other for sale by owner sites that we teach people to get into. ForSaleByOwner.com is one of them, and there are others out there. So just type in for sale by owner and then your city, and you should be able to find some for sale by owner sites that you can get into and start finding those motivated sellers. If you've got sellers that are saying, hey, I want to sell my property, and they're spending some money to put it on a website, chances are they're probably motivated. They're wanting to sell their property. They're not someone that's just you knock on the door and hope that they're wanting to sell. They're raising their hand and saying, hey, that's me, I want to sell, right? So check that out. Something that we do a lot of is TV and radio. And believe it or not, TV, it can be a little bit expensive, but if you got your message down, you can really get a lot of leads. You can get a lot of consistent business coming in. In fact, this is our number one lead source is TV. We put it out there, we set it and forget it. Every 3 months or so we'll put out a new commercial, and I'll shoot one. And we've got some samples in the Total Real Estate Blueprint, but it provides us a lot of exposure, a lot of branding. And when you start doing a lot of these, including bandit signs, you start getting your message out there. People start seeing you. So if one thing isn't working real well, but it's paying for itself, keep doing it. Then when you start adding another thing and you put your name and your business out there, people are going to start seeing it. In fact, we've had people say, hey, we saw your TV commercial, but it wasn't until we got your postcard that we called you. Or we got your postcard, but then we saw your TV commercial and we said, wow, we're getting hit from different directions. It must be a sign that we need to call you. So they give us a call, right? So this was a game changer once we started implementing multiple lead sources. Back when the phone book was popular, when I got into business, that was a huge lead source. It was quite a bit of money, kind of like TV is, but it produced a lot of leads coming in. And it really helped us to really ramp up our business. And TV's done the same thing. It's just taken us to another level. And now we're doing radio. Now we're going to do other things. In fact, we're going to get our own radio show here pretty quickly. And that'll brand us even better in our markets, right? So MLS, in fact, MLS along with the phone book were the two main lead sources that we had in our business at the time, when back in the early years. And once we implemented all of these though, now we don't have, other than TV, we don't really have anything that dominates. TV dominates and everything else just kind of fills in where we get 3 to 10 deals. MLS actually kind of dominates too. We get a lot of deals off the MLS. We've got a system where we teach you how to dive into the MLS and make offers. There's a lot of people that say I've tried the MLS, but we have probably the best system that I've seen to get into the MLS, to get in there and just start making offers on properties. The key is to be consistent and to follow up. And we help you with that. So these are the ways to find deals. These are not the only ways to find deals, but these are the main ways that I would recommend you looking into to find deals. Craigslist, for sale by owner sites, those are free. Those are things you can dive into tomorrow and find free properties. There's meetup groups, there's RIA groups, Real Estate Investment Association groups, where you can go and you can network with other investors that have real estate deals. So just Google Real Estate Investor Meeting San Diego or whatever market you're in, and you can find meetup groups or groups all the time that are meeting up. So meetup.com is another one you can find a lot of those groups in. Go to those, network, and you never know when you're going to find deals. We found contractors from those types of meetings. We've got great relationships. In fact, some of the things that I've implemented here are things that I've gotten from other investors. You just start talking to them and they start giving you information. Hey, in fact, the MLS, I wasn't doing the MLS the first few years I was in business. I sat down with an investor and he said, hey man, I'm making offers in the MLS. I just made 50 grand off this deal in the MLS. And me, if you know me, you give me an idea and I'm on it. I'm running with it. That's why I've been successful with these things, is because someone tells me about it, I'm going to try it. I'm going to dive in there and see what happens. Phone book, people thought I was crazy, but someone told me, hey, phone book is a great lead source. TV the same way. People said I was crazy for doing TV. It's expensive, yada, yada, yada. Hey, we dominate on TV. So you need to look at all these. Craigslist, for sale by owner, and MLS are the 3 cheapest things you can do to get started right away, because they don't cost you any money. Bandit signs, I didn't explain that well enough, or didn't explain it at all. Bandit signs are those signs you see on the side of the road that say "We Buy Homes" with a phone number. Those are cheap, those are easy, and those keep your message out there consistently. Now check with your ordinances to see what the legal and ethical way to put your signs out are, but those are a great lead source, and those are things that keep leads coming in consistently. Find deals. This is, even though it says number 2, this is the number 1 thing you need to concentrate on in your business, is finding deals, okay? Funding. This is a big one because people, they come to me and like I said, they ask me all these questions. Tony, how do you buy so many properties? You know, you've got millions of dollars of properties working at one time. You know, are you using your own money, or, you know, what are you doing? We use a combination of different things when we buy our properties, all right? So if you don't have any money to start this business, it's okay. I'm gonna show you how to fund your properties. And the obvious way is cash. If you've got your own money, paying cash for a property is the number 1 tool you can have in your toolbox when it comes to negotiating. When people hear that you pay cash, that you don't have to get a loan, it's not contingent upon financing, your deal is going to get picked over someone else's that has financing, because those have appraisals and things of that nature. So you can do cash, do it. Private lending, you don't have cash, we've got millions and millions of dollars in private money that we use on our deals. You know, like I said, we've got tons of projects in the works. We don't use all of our own money, we use private lenders' money. So basically what we do is we go to our lender, and that sample that I gave you earlier was we buy a property for $50,000, we put 20 grand into it, and we sell it for $100,000. So we've got $70,000 into a $100,000 house. So we go to our private lenders and we shoot them an email and say, hey, we've got this deal. It's on the market for 50. We're going to put 20 into it, and it's secured by a $100,000 property. Give us the money. We'll put a note and mortgage on the property to secure it, and we'll pay you interest. And we typically pay our lenders 12%. 12% to me has been a good number because it's, you know, we've proposed 8% before, which there are people that will do 8%. There are people that want 15%. We just said, you know what, we're going to make it easy and make it 12%. Instead of paying some people, you know, 15 to 20%, and some people are okay with 6%, let's just do 12%. It's going to average out anyway. It's less brain damage. We make things simple. That's part of our system. Boom, here it is. When you're getting in, you can always ask them, what would you like? What kind of interest rate are you getting on your other investments? That's number 1 question you can ask when negotiating with a private lender. Because if he says, I'm just getting 2% over here, you know that you can go in with a lower percentage, or ask him or her, hey, what would you like? What would be, if you could get more than 2% and be happy with it and be secured by real estate, what would your, what would you like? And, you know, starting out, there were some people that said 6%. There were some that said 8%. And as time went on, as we needed bigger chunks of money, those types of people typically wanted bigger, higher interest rates. So that's where we came up with 12%. So private lenders are pretty much like cash. So when you go and you make an offer, if you're doing a private loan, you can call it a cash deal. It's not contingent upon financing. It's not appraisals. It's not termite inspections. It's not all these things that most lenders make you go through. Private lenders you can close within a couple days, typically, if you've got a good enough relationship with them. Title work's done, private lenders on board. It's a quick deal. Private lenders and cash are the quickest ways to close on properties, and the best negotiating tools that you can have. They can get you a lower price. You know, people have gone with us for a lower price, partly because they liked us better than the other companies, that, you know, we were more credible, but also because we were able to close quicker. You know, 30 to 45 day close compared to a 3 to 7 day close, it's kind of a no-brainer. They're going to pick the 3 to 7 day close as long as you're within a certain price point of the other offer. So, great negotiating tool. Make sure you have it in your arsenal. Some of the bigger projects we do with banks so we can save interest. You know, we've got one right now that is a $300,000 property. Just made sense for us. We knew we were going to renovate for 2 to 3 months, which is a long project for us. And so we wanted a lower interest rate. So we had the money to put down on it. We had the extra money to do the renovations on the property. And we saved a lot of money by going through a bank. And anytime we do rentals, like I shared earlier, we'll pay cash for a property or private money. we'll do the deal, fix it, get it ready to sell, and then if we decide to rent it, we just go back to the bank we built a relationship with, cash that out, get our money back, and now we've got equity and we've got cash flow. And just think about, if you build relationships with banks, you can do that. You know, we do tons of these properties every year. You know, I think a couple of years ago we ended up keeping like 20 or 30 properties. And when you're looking at $30,000 in equity on each of those properties, that's hundreds of thousands of dollars that I've added to my net worth and my retirement by doing that. So while you may not deal with banks right away, you know, people told me a long time ago, start creating relationships with banks. Even if you don't need them now, I would recommend doing that. Even if it's just opening up a checking account and, you know, talking with the commercial lender there and just creating that relationship. That way, when you're ready, boom, you can pull the trigger, say, hey, I need a loan. They know you. They've seen your bank accounts and know that you do what you say you're going to do. Hard money loans are kind of like private lending, but they also have a lot of things that banks want, which is they want your tax returns sometimes, they want your W-2s, they want your credit score, they want an appraisal on the property, they want a scope of work, they want all these things that a private lender doesn't want. And they call it hard money. I don't even know why they call it hard money. It's a lot easier to get, but it's a lot harder, I guess, on your wallet, because they're going to charge you points up front, typically between 2 and 5 points, and they're going to charge you a higher interest rate. Typically, they're going to charge you between 12 and 15%. Hard money's gotten more competitive recently, so you might be able to find something where it's 2 points and 12%, which actually isn't bad, considering they may not loan to you, or they may loan to you when some of these other things aren't available to you, right? So I don't mind, I wouldn't mind if I was in your position paying those extra fees, paying an extra couple $1,000s to be able to make $20,000 to $30,000. Does that make sense? Okay. Some people will raise funds. That's something I don't want to get into. I just want to let you know that that's an option. That's something we're looking into. We've got enough private lenders right now. We're good. But eventually we may raise a fund where we've got to file with the SEC or follow certain guidelines so the SEC doesn't come down on us, but we can actually pull money together and have, you know, hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars of money just available at our disposal to be able to use. So funds are a way to go as well, and there actually may be people that have funds that have already been created that you can tap into. So just wanted to provide that as an option and let you know that that is out there. All right, so now you've defined your strategy, you know what you're doing there. You found the deal that you want to find, or that you strove to find, and then you were able to fund it. So now if you're wanting to fix and flip properties, now you get into the project management, all right? So this is where a lot of people get it wrong. So they find a great deal, the numbers look great, and they budget to put $20,000 into the house, and it ends up being 40. They budget for 30, and they ended up putting 60,000 into it. So there's a lot of different reasons that happens, and I'm going to show those to you and kind of go into kind of some of our systems on how we do project management, because this is one of those things that can really make or break a project. It's the difference between making really good money on a property and potentially not making any money on a property, right? So with project management, you've got to find contractors. You know, contractors are kind of a dime a dozen, to be honest with you. You know, you have, you know, some areas of the country where contractors are great, and you have some areas where contractors aren't the greatest. That's kind of some of the research and networking and things you have to do to find that out. But when it comes down to it, you need to find a good contractor. This is someone that you feel like you can trust. This is someone that has a track record. This is someone that has credibility, someone that's licensed. They don't have to be licensed, you know, if they're doing painting or something like that. But if someone's doing a big project for you, you probably want them to be licensed. You definitely want them to be insured. Picking the contractor is the difference between going, you know, being on budget and going over budget. The difference between going doing a 4-week project and making it an 8-week project. The difference between, you know, easy and hard. I mean, I don't know how else I can put it. Make sure you find the right contractor. Interview. You know, we've got a process that we do for interviewing contractors, for screening them, for checking references. Make sure you find the right contractors, because it can really make or break the project that you're doing. You got to interview them. Like I said, we've got an interview process that we go through all of our contractors just to make sure they're the right fit. We ask them the right questions. We, make sure that they give us their references, make sure that they have plenty of references to know that they are credible. They're not someone that just, picked up a tool belt yesterday and just started, hammering away at houses. Like I said, we've got a process. You got to follow it. And then there's crucial documents that you need to have with every single contractor. We have a contractor's agreement that we put in place with every single contractor. Spells out all of our processes. If this happened, then we do this. We pay on Tuesdays, but we have to get your invoices on Fridays. Really just puts all the expectations down, or gives the expectations of the relationship, so that when they come to us, they can't just say, "Hey, you never told us you needed an invoice by Friday. We thought we were going to get paid the same day we got done," right? And that's the way a lot of people work. Well, we have our system down where we pay every Tuesday. It just makes it a lot easier on our bookkeepers. We have hundreds of transactions a week that go through our office. So we do all of our transactions on Monday and Tuesday, and they know that they get paid on Tuesday, right? Like I said, do research in your market. Find out who the good contractors are. Referrals are the best source of contractor referrals. Some of the best contractors I use and have used for years are ones that refer to me. And if they're referred to you, chances are they did a good job for someone else. So don't take that lightly. If someone says, "Hey, I've got a good contractor," you want to check them out. You want to get your crucial documents in place. You want to go through your interview and your process. But those are a great lead source for contractors. So with project management, there's much more to it. But if you find good contractors, you go through the process, that's the biggest part of the battle. Of course, there's budgeting and there's things like that. We have a deal analyzer that can help you budget, that will outline the whole property to make sure that you're, make sure you're not paying too much, and to make you think, what are some other things in the house that we didn't budget for, just to make sure that your project management process is down. But really, the contractor is probably the most important thing you're going to do in project management, other than budgeting, because they're going to be on your project every single day for 4 to 8 weeks, or however long your project goes. And if you get that wrong, then the whole job can go wrong. Okay. So let's go up to number 5, build your team. Like I said, it was a few years into the business before I started hiring people on my staff, but you need to build your team right away. You can build your team starting tomorrow with people that are outside of your business that can help you. And these are people you don't typically pay. We talked about MLS earlier. Realtors, they get paid from the listing. They get paid from the seller who they're selling the property for. So that's something that you don't have to pay for, that can be a part of your team. There's many other people that are part of your team that you don't have to pay for. Like I said, get help right away, because to do this business yourself just isn't fun. I did that for a long time. I did that for a good 3 to 5 years. And when I say by myself, I did hire some contractors and things of that nature. But truly, to get help from the people that were higher level, like realtors and things like that, it took me a long time to really get that down. And once I did, I realized the power of leverage. I realized the power of leverage with money, but also with people. People are, if you can get the right people in your business, they can really take you to the next level very quickly. Subcontractors, really good subcontractors. I said finding contractors are subcontractors. Real estate agents are subcontractors. There's also other people that are subcontractors that aren't necessarily contractors on job sites, but can help you out. Your insurance agent is going to be very valuable and make it easier on you. We buy between a house and 5 houses a week, and to be able to send those to an agent, and she knows our process and really has it down. She's been doing it for years. It's invaluable. Our title closer, it's paid from the closings that closes the transaction. For some of you, it may be an attorney. For some of your areas, it may be a title company. But to have someone on your side from the title company that knows your business inside and out, it's so valuable. They know your business, and there's an issue that comes up, they know how to solve it. You have to define the positions that you want. So if you're trying to create an organization and you want to hire, you need to define those positions. I started doing this a long time ago. Before I even started hiring my first person, I visualized what I wanted. I knew I wanted a property manager. I knew I wanted a project manager. I knew that I wanted someone to take over my business as the president of my company. And now I've been able to build all of that out. I even have a transaction coordinator because we've got so many transactions that go through our office. So you need to know what you want not only within your organization, but also list the people that you want outside. Do you want a realtor? Yes, you do. You need an attorney, you need an accountant, you need a title company. There's people in your business that you need that are going to make your business so much easier for you and so much better. I can only imagine if I had to do all this work myself, or if I didn't have good people in these positions, how much harder it would be. I wouldn't be in California right now. I wouldn't be hundreds of miles away from my current office. And had I had this up front, it would have saved me a lot of time, or had I at least started to build these relationships up front. We have an interview process for people we hire in our company, and we also have an interview process for contractors working on our job sites. And we kind of use that also for people that we interview for, like, let's say a title company. You know, you want to make sure that they have done a certain amount of transactions. You want to make sure that they've done flip deals before. You want to make sure that they know the FHA guidelines for flipping. You know, there's many different things that you can ask them to make sure that they know what they're doing and that they're good for your business. Okay? And there's crucial documents for those too. You know, mainly for the positions that you want in your company. You know, we've got a handbook that we use that you know, hammers down on a lot of the things that we expect in our organization. With subcontractors here, we've got our subcontractor agreement that we have all of our subcontractors sign that state everything that you could possibly think could go wrong within a relationship. Because no matter how good the relationship, there's always going to be things that come up. And if you've got those put in place and you've got those all in line, then it makes it a lot easier, right? So those there are the 5 pillars. So let's go back and look at those. Whoops. We've got define your strategy. You need to understand what you're wanting to do in this business. That way you know maybe what marketing technique works the best. You can figure out what kind of, you know, if you want to do fix and flip, you've got to get funding lined up. If you want to do rentals, you got to get some kind of funding lined up. So you need to define your strategy and research your market. That's probably the number one thing you can do, is just make sure you research your market and know what's going on with it. Finding deals, there's so many different ways to find deals. This needs to be your number one thing that you concentrate on, is finding deals. Even if you don't define your strategy, go find deals. Go find deals and you'll figure out your strategy, right? Funding, you go find a deal, it's easier to find funding, right? You're going to be motivated to go find funding. Funding is the thing that really propelled our business. Once we started getting private lenders and people to invest in our business, that's where we started to skyrocket, right? And we couldn't do that without the marketing, without finding deals. Project management, very crucial. That is something that can make or break a deal. So make sure you find the right contractors, interview them, put the right documents in place, and you got to build your team. These are the 5 pillars that will help start your business and get it going in the right direction. Once I got these 5 things in place, that's when things started to go very quickly, right? Get 2 or 3 of these down, you're doing okay. You get 4 of them down, you're doing pretty well. You get all 5 of these down, it's a game changer. It makes it so much easier for you to do business, right? So what about the 3 pillars? So on the next video, the second part of this video, this is a 2-part series, we're going to talk about the foundational supports. You've got the pillars now. If you go out there and you implement those and implement them well, then you need a foundation for it. Okay, so the 5 pillars are the things that made me go like this in my business. The foundational supports, these are the things that made it a lot easier. Once I got those foundations in, or once I got those 5 pillars in place, and not only that, but it helped me to step out of my business. You know, I'm fortunate enough to say again that I don't have to be in my business every single day. I could be teaching you all day while my business is making money. I could be traveling while my business is making money. I could be doing whatever and my business is making money. And had you told me, you know, back when I started this business that I would be where I am now, where I don't have to be in business, I would say take me there tomorrow. And it had to do with 5 pillars starting out. and it continued with the foundational support that you need to sustain your business over a long period of time and to potentially step out of it. So I really hope this helped you. You've got the worksheet. I hope you've got your notes. If you need to watch this video again, share it with other people, comment below, and tell us what you thought about it. If there's anything we can add to some future videos, and go out there, be great, and make things happen. Make it happen. So we'll talk to you guys on the next video.